Hello, Ms. Dermody here, giving you an update on 6th grade religion for trimester 2. In November, we did some work with our liturgical season of All Saints Day and All Souls Day. We also learned about the corporal and spiritual works of mercy and how we can apply those into our lives. In December, we then learned about Advent and Christmas for those liturgical seasons. It was great to learn about some traditions and some symbolism. We then jumped back into the Old Testament to learn about some notable kings in Israel, such as King David and King Solomon and their leadership. We also investigated the gifts of the Holy Spirit and how we can live them out in our lives. The 6th graders recently wrapped up the Old Testament with the exile of Israel, and we are moving now into the New Testament, beginning with the Gospels. I enjoy teaching religion because of the great connections that the students make and helping them dig deeper into their faith. It is so great to see them learn and grow in their faith each day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hello, 6th grade families. 6th grade math has been quite the exciting journey so far, and I wanted to take this opportunity to give you an overview of the content we're coming from, what we're currently working on, and where we'll be headed over the next few months. So given our strange year and a variety of different learning formats, we are focused on the essential learnings for 6th grade. Ratios has been a large focus of early this trimester, and students have gone from representing ratios with pictures to diagrams to double number lines and finally to using tables to represent equivalent ratios. And this has really helped lay the foundation for our current work, which is rates and percentages. Looking ahead, there are some big topics that students will learn about, which include dividing fractions, working with expressions and equations, and rational numbers, with a focus on positive and negative numbers. So what can you continue to do to support your 6th grader at home? Well, with each lesson, students are expected to be working on the practice problems as just that, practice. They know the routine. So they first attempt the problems on their own, and then when they're done, I provide an answer key so they need to check themselves and monitor their own thinking. So if there are any that they need to rethink, they should be using their summaries from the lesson or any activities or notes from that day to try and clarify their thinking. Then reattempt to try and get that answer that matches the answer key. And if they're still stuck, then they can use the Mr. Morgan video that I also post in Google Classroom. He goes through each problem, explaining and reteaching the thinking behind it. So the goal with practice at home is to be able to walk into class the next day feeling confident that they have a solid understanding of the day before's work, which is so much better than the alternative, which would be to just guess on a practice problem and walk into class the next day having no idea if they understood the content from the previous lesson. So please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be seeing you soon.
In 6th grade social studies, we cover basic skills related to each of the social sciences, so geography, history, political science, behavior science, and economics. So far, we've covered geography. Students learned about the 5 themes of geography and prepared for a zombie invasion somewhere in North America, and they got to choose their location and apply their knowledge of the 5 themes to be able to prepare against that invasion. Behavioral science we've covered, and we talked about culture traits. We talked about people and movement just a little bit, and so students applied that knowledge to a specific indigenous group as they worked with small groups and then presented about each of the groups as well. And then currently we are working on political science, and so we're learning about different types of government leadership, such as monarchy, democracy, theocracy, and plenty of others. Some kids are just waiting for this unit, and others, this is not their favorite topic. So I try to make it very hands-on, and that makes it, I think, a little bit more enjoyable and easier for them to understand because they may not be as familiar with really types of government outside of a monarchy and a democracy. At the same time as we're doing all this stuff, we also have kind of a background project, and that's their My Country project, which is due in May. This is kind of my year-long project where they apply all the things that we've been learning, and they have created this kind of fictional country to apply it in. And so when we present this in May, they will participate also in a collaborative, cooperative kind of learning simulation similar to like the United Nations and some other layers to that. I'd really encourage you to ask your student about their country and how that's going and what kind of elements they've already decided. I know in 6D that they have kind of a collaborative group slides going where a lot of the students have been working to create this kind of whole interconnected world even prior to our May simulation, which is really fun for me to see them wanting to do it so much that they're even doing it outside of class time on their own. And it's really created a lot of really great in-depth critical thinking, kind of problem-solving conversations amongst themselves, which has been a great learning experience as well. And many of them are really excited to share their finished project when it comes time as well. Sixth grade has been really a joy this year. They have this kind of love of learning that is really contagious in their class, and they have a lot of energy that they put towards anything that they're kind of challenged with, which is fun. Don't get me wrong, at the same time, they really love their brain breaks, and as the teacher who has them their third block of the day, they need a little of that energy out before we get down to the learning sometimes. But that just makes it fun too. So thanks for watching.
Hey HT families, first of all, I am so thrilled that your student is in my science class because they are learning and engaged and creating new understanding and concepts of science that, I don't think that they necessarily thought was science related. So at the beginning of the year, we started off looking at scientific inquiry, like what that is. What is, the nature of science, how it's all around us, and it's not just looking at bugs and plants and things like that. It's looking at very holistically of how we design things to better protect, the science behind it, and we use data and we use and make inferences and we create designs, and it's just such a fun way to start the year in science. From there, we've gone into the scientific measuring unit where we look at how to measure things using the metric system because that's not something that they're very familiar with. But we look at it in a way that helps them make sense of, okay, this is what scientists do. Like, this is how they measure things. After that, we get really big and heavy into our earth science aspect, which is going to lead us to the end of the year. So far we have already done looking at the Earth's layers and what the Earth's made of and how our plate tectonics work and how at one point, everything was all compiled together and the evidence that's used to support that and to support that our plate tectonics are still moving. And now, currently, right now, we are looking at our earthquake unit, which is probably one of my favorites. But we get to see what's really happening, what causes this to happen, what causes rocks to look the way they look. And then it's going to lead us into looking at volcanoes and the rock cycle, which is coming up next, and how all of these minor things play into these really big events. But within those units, we are going to be adding in some of the scientific inquiry. So we're going to be designing buildings that can withstand earthquakes. We're going to be looking at designing something that could test a volcano to see if it's active or inactive. We also are going to then kind of end the year with looking at a quick introduction of cells and getting into the life science behind it, because that's going to be big in their 7th grade years. So I am thoroughly thrilled that your students are in my class and that they are engaged and having just a great time and loving science.
Welcome to Spanish class. Bienvenidos a la clase de español. I'm Miss Lise, and I just wrote up a synopsis of what we've been doing. 6th grade has learned so much in Spanish this year. We've learned how to speak, read, and write the alphabet in Spanish and how to spell words in Spanish, the numbers from 0 to 100, colors, how to describe and ask about the weather, classroom vocabulary, and giving instructions in Spanish in the classroom. We've learned the days of the week, the months of the year, how to give and ask for someone's phone number, how to ask or tell where you are from, the names of all the Spanish-speaking countries in Spanish, greetings and salutations and asking how someone is. We've also learned about the following holidays in Spanish-speaking countries: Dia de la Independencia, Independence Day, el 12 de Octubre, known as Columbus Day or Indigenous Day, Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, Las Navidades, Christmas in Spanish-speaking countries, and El Año Nuevo, or New Year's. The future holidays we'll be learning about are Carnival, kind of like Mardi Gras, Las Fallas in Valencia, Spain, in March. Also, Semana Santa, Holy Week traditions, which are very important and very significant because most Spanish-speaking countries are also Catholic countries. Cinco de Mayo, or the 5th of May. Inti Raymi, which is the festival of the sun. Dia de Simón Bolívar, Simon Bolivar Day. And Feria de Málaga, which celebrates the reconquering of Spain by the Catholic king and queen, Queen Isabella and King Fernando. In the rest of the year, students will also be learning about foods and beverages in Spanish, using subject pronouns and the verb ser, which means to be, using the word de, de, to describe where you are from, using the word gustar with an infinitive, which means to like something. So they're going to be learning about talking about activities that they like to do, telling where they're from, saying what they like and what they don't like to do, learning adjectives, nouns for identifying people, using the verb ser to describe what someone is like, using definite and indefinite articles, practicing noun and adjective agreement, describing yourself and others, identifying people and things, school subjects like Spanish, history, science, learning those vocabulary words to describe the rest of school, adverbs of frequency, the verb tener and tener que, which means to have and to have to do something, the present tense of AR verbs, talking about daily schedules, asking and telling time in Spanish, saying what you have and what you have to do, and saying what you do and how often you do things. So we're going to cover a lot. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to email me. I'm always available, and I'll do my best to get back with you within 24 hours. So thank you so much, and thank you for the privilege of being able to educate your children and use these wonderful Spanish-speaking skills, for the rest of their life in the workplace or, serving their purpose for God and reaching missions and reaching out to people in the Spanish-speaking world and whatnot. So thank you so much. Have a good day.
Hello, Ms. Dermody here, giving you an update about 6th grade language arts. We began with a poetry unit at the start of trimester 2. We studied figurative language, and the students created a poetry portfolio with 5 different poems. It was so great to see their creativity at work and excellent innovation. We then learned about folk literature, including myths, folk tales, tall tales, and fables. And the students created their own myth project to answer a question in nature, just like the ancient Greeks. Our next unit then focused around persuasive techniques in advertising. We then created a roller coaster and marketed it. It was so great to see the students' creativity once again on display. They really enjoyed this project and had a lot of fun and had some awesome ideas. We then moved into persuasive writing with a persuasive essay. In Writer's Workshop, we learned about thesis statements, hook strategies or attention getters, having topic sentences, and correctly citing sources. These skills will really help them in the long run down the road. Currently, we are reading a variety of informational nonfiction texts such as essays, biographies, autobiographies, and diary entries. They're all focused around different role models, leaders, and heroes such as Anne Frank, Jackie Robinson, Helen Keller, and Abraham Lincoln. We're working on skills such as summarizing, author's purpose, author's perspective, vocabulary, and more. Throughout the trimester, we continue to learn about grammar, spelling, and continue with our independent reading goals. It is so great to work with the 6th graders. I really enjoy how eager they are to learn and how enthusiastic they are in class. They have such positive participation. Thank you so much. Bye.